If you could travel back in time to when your father was 18 years old and give him some advice, knowing full well it may change his life's path and you and your siblings may never exist, would you? And what would you say? Please don't start smoking. It's not worth your life. I'd say the same thing. I wasn't ready to lose him 2 months after my high school graduation to lung cancer. This one is the winner. My dad was already smoking at 18, but if he actually listened, I don't think I could give him any advice my mom didn't give him, or that shouldn't be common sense. Read a book. Don't talk like Matilda's dad. Learn to pronounce your kids' names, if you have them. Don't cheat on your wife. Don't destroy your own car with a baseball bat, just because you got angry. I'd say please, don't overexert yourself when you go riding bikes. And if you feel a bit off the day before, don't go riding. I would say this because he had a severe heart attack when doing a charity bike ride and died instantly. No. Why? Well, even though he had my siblings and my mom eventually abandoned him and the family when I was a preteen, his life actually turned out far better for it. My mom was his anchor. His career skyrocketed after my mom left, and not shortly after a couple years he found love again. And I have a great stepmom who is equally as successful as my dad. His life turned out well. Sure, heartache and pain with my mom leaving, but my mom held him back, got him into a ton of debt etc. I was already born at this point. I was 1. I would tell him the woman you are starting a family with is evil, and in a year she will give birth to a son, who will go on to commit evil acts as well. You need to divorce that woman now. Take your daughter and don't look back. I'd tell him to enjoy his life in the moment, and not save everything for his retirement. My dad is 71, has dementia and Parkinson's, and is living in a nursing home. He and my mom had all these plans for when they were both retired. My dad had 1 to 2 good years after his retirement, and has been progressively ill since. He never got to enjoy his time after working for so long. My mom visits him every day, so she hasn't really enjoyed her retirement either. They've been married for 50 years and they firmly believe in the till death do us part of their wedding vows. My heart breaks for them. So much time spent planning, and so many promises never to be fulfilled. Ugh. SMH, everyone here has some serious family issues. I'd tell my dad keep up on the good work, and don't give up on your doctorate. Your son will follow those footsteps one day, and maybe that girl you met at the amusement park is going to give you at least 37 years of marriage, nurse you back to health when you get cancer around age 40, and make seriously good choices about where your kids go to school, who they hang out with, and what opportunities they'll eventually have because of it. Suicide is not the answer. Your youngest daughter died from glandular fever at 15 years old. It was never your fault and there is nothing you can do. Your brother-in-law will steal from you. The family will side with him. Your depression will make you a missing person for 7 years. But when your kids eventually do find you, you are still loved. You will make silly financial decisions that will turn out to be windfalls, and make smart investments with the proceeds, and lose it all. Throughout the death of many close family members, the collapse of your marriage, and your financial wins and losses, your kids continue to love you. I miss you. Don't do it. Your father had a rough life. Sorry for all this, man. As someone going through a divorce, financial hardship and having a hard time of it, I needed to hear this. Thank you, internet stranger. Please keep fighting. You matter, now and always, no matter what life throws at you. Make sure they give you clean blood and plasma when you get transfusions. He was a hemophiliac and died of AIDS-related illnesses in 1993 due to infected blood. At the time he was infected, the 80s, Europe was heat treating blood to clean it and make sure hepatitis wasn't present. The US decided that was too expensive and that hepatitis was an acceptable risk, so they didn't do it. Hemophiliacs, whose life expectancy had been rising due to improved medicine, started to fall like leaves. Our family got a modest payout from the ensuing class action lawsuit, but I'm fairly certain my father would rather be alive. I'm sad to hear this. As a hemophiliac myself, I fortunately didn't experience this firsthand. I'm member of the Danish Hemophiliac Association, and know many people who've experienced this back when we didn't treat the blood. Yes, I'd tell him not to sleep with my mom that one time. They were barely dating, and my mom got pregnant from that one time. It arguably ruined both their lives. I'm happy to be alive, but they could have had better lives. You don't have to take care of your entire extended family and send them all to college while you starve your immediate children. We will resent you for it. Also, you have schizophrenia. Get meds and therapy. Don't work so hard and let us help you. I'd convince him to never settle. He wanted to work in the trades, but my dad settled with being a truck driver because it was the opening there was at the time, which it led to him working nights and him having to stay out of town for 2 days or out of the week until I was 10, I think. I never really saw him while growing up. I wouldn't change a thing. He joined the army at 17 and made a career for himself where he is very successful even after his military retirement. Sure, he made mistakes here and there, but all of the major decisions were the right ones, and I wouldn't have it any other way. His years of hard work gave him an amazing work ethic that he passed down to my siblings, and I'd tell him not to let me live with my mother when I was 5 to 10, but who knows what life would be like if that hadn't happened. I would tell him to invest in Google, Netflix and some other investments in the 90s, invest in Bitcoin in 09, and not sell it until 2017, when it's at 20k. Wouldn't tell him anything else. So I would still be born along with my siblings, and if he followed my advice, he'd be rich. When you become a father and get married, you will be miserable, and will make your son miserable as well. Look after your health. If you don't, then you'll end up being a 50-year-old mess. Treat your kid with some respect. Just because you're a father now doesn't mean you're taking care of some robot who doesn't deserve equal rights. Your kid is going to hate you for it. Don't go back for her. She never wanted you to come, and you'll spend the next 30 years making her miserable by blaming her for your career stagnating. You'll both find someone better who one of you actually deserves. I would tell him not to marry his first wife and go to the Air Force Academy vs throwing away his scholarship and enlisting. He would have never met my mom, but I feel both of their lives would have been better for that. My mom could have joined the Air Force, which was her dream, but couldn't when she was made a single parent by my dad. Many affairs. I wouldn't have existed, and neither would my siblings from other relationships they had, but everyone would have been happier. I'd tell him to make good decisions. To graduate college with mom BC they're the same school, and to not have my sister yet. To earn money and decide to get married in the right time. Have stable and wonderful dream jobs. I may have been younger than I'm today. Or not. If I didn't exist, I may have been in a different life, a better one. And so all of my siblings. Breed. You're going to meet a woman in a few years that you think can't have kids and is perfect for that. She can and she will. Your plan to alternate working and getting degrees won't happen. You'll resent her and the kids. It won't be fair to anyone. Get a vasectomy and focus on your education. My grandma died when my dad was 25ish. She had a heart attack and told him to take her to the doctor's office. I would tell him to ignore her and take her to the 30 seconds down the road. I might have gotten to meet her. Don't get with mum. She becomes an abusive alcoholic in 10 years time and will cause you to lose your job, and you won't be having an easy time when your first kid comes. If you do, then find a better position in the mechanic field. Oh, and put £30 on this thing called Bitcoin when it comes around. No matter what happens in life, your kids will still love you even if you remarry and accidentally marry a horrible time bomb of a person. You didn't know how things will turn out. Just stay strong no matter what. That way hopefully everything will be mostly the same. Only hopefully my stepmom won't walk all over him as much. I wouldn't, because his suicide a decade later is the reason I'm who I am. Though he never got to meet his nephews and nieces on me past infancy. He survived the troubles and had what some in my family think was bipolar disorder. Apparently we both have the same cluttered speech, but different accents, as I wasn't raised in Ireland. I wouldn't necessarily tell him to stick around to see me born. I had a stepdad that shaped me into who I am, and not knowing the consequences of the butterfly effect that would go down, I think I'd just ask him to swing by after I became a young adult. Just have some conversations, see what he's like, and get some of the annoying necessities out of the way, like the family medical history I know nothing about. I'd tell him that on December 4th 2013 to only take one painkiller, not 4. I know your back will hurt from that injury. That for the life of me, I can't remember how he got, but please only take one, or whatever the recommend amount of painkillers you're supposed to take. Also my dad didn't overdose. Well he did, but he accidentally overdosed, if that makes any sense. Stay in college. I know you get sick and need to take 6 weeks off during the first semester of your freshman year. You can talk to the financial aid office about either taking out a loan or getting your scholarships reinstated because of the extraneous circumstances that caused you to fail that semester. Going into the military sounds like fun, but you don't like it. You don't enjoy being married to my mother. The vocational degree you get in the military does not help you to get any jobs that you like, and that will allow you to support a family. You might still be miserable if you stay in college instead of giving up then, but please, just try. You definitely hate your life if you don't.